So, welcome to Beauty of Colors podcast, Gila. It's great to have you on the show.
Good morning, Clean. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, tell the listeners about you and how did you become a travel storyteller?
Well, I'm pretty much really a simple soul, sharing her life on the open road. I mean, there is that simplicity of that. Um, how I became a travel story. It actually chose me. I was not looking for it at all. When I decided that I'm going to give myself the opportunity to have live the dream that I always did. And the first year I was on the road, I actually traveled with a Mazda CX-5. Don't ask me how I did it for a year, but I did. Um, and Before I left, a lot of my friends asked me to blog. And I was like, what are you asking for me? That you're asking the impossible. There is no way I can write. I never did it before. English is not really my first language. I mean, no way. And I cannot explain to you as just to tell you, there was almost felt like a power stronger than me, a very loud voice that was telling me to do it. And every time I ignored it, it got louder and louder. And I decided just to do it. It's almost really, it was decided for me to do it. And I just follow that voice. Um, and I start sharing. I start writing and sharing. And very, very quickly, I would say like 2 weeks even to my travel. And so the way I shared it at the beginning was in a 3 or 4 Facebook travel, solo women travel,
Mhm.
a group, private groups. And very quickly, I was getting, wow, you my new favorite writer. I'm like, who are you talking about? And then like, oh, this is a book. This is a book. I mean, for it took me really 8 months on the road. It's like, okay, if everyone is telling me this is a book, I will one day I will put it into a book. But that is really how it started. That I was starting to share my thoughts, my inner. Most of it is my inner thought. It's a very raw, um, and I call it. I'm very much naked with my emotions out there, uh, knowing that what I feel is no different with that when we all feel. Maybe I'm just willing to say it loud enough that everyone can hear it and they can find, you know, that I so much want people to start to realize how we all connected, how we all one. There is no different from one to not another. We might have a different experience in life, but at the end of the day, we are all the same, no matter where you are in this world. So by sharing my inner thought and my journey, I hope I create that space for others.
So, Gila, before you started doing the travel storytelling and before you started writing those stories, your experience on the road, what did you do before that you decided to kind of leave it behind and say, that's not for me, let me go with my calling?
Okay. Well, first of all, I was a homestay mom for over 15 years. And then when they went to high school, I went back to kind of my profession. I'm a graphic designer and I worked for part time in a small print shop. And then, for while they were young, I kind of have a small business on my own as a full finisher and decorative painter. They will go for a play date in my friend's house, and I'll go maybe twice a month to do a job. Um, and and then for many years, for a long time, I would, when people ask me that question, I would say, well, that was a back injury that one day I woke up very, late September. It was very cold, and I had to crawl out of bed. And at this point, I'm 53, and I was sitting on my yoga mat and like, what else would I lose? Because that injury, I lost the ability to go backpacking, and I was a volunteer ambulance driver to my town, and I couldn't do that. And I said, that's it. I cannot. What else would I lose before I will give myself the dream of traveling the way I do? But as I put my second book to publication, and I was reading through. and reflecting on my own journey. And I went back, also to my first book and read that. I think that the beginning of my story and putting myself on into this path was the moment I chose life instead of committing suicide. I was a second from um, just giving it all up. I got to a point where I did not care about none of not either of my boys, nothing. I was really choking on my own depression, and for over 17 years, I was every day struggling to keep myself alive, and I always connected that to imbalance of chemical in my brain. And I had a therapist, and and she asked me to promise. She asked me to promise her that I will give her a chance before I do it, and that's really what saved me. My promise to her. Um, and she said when I went to her, right away, she said, "Gila, you made a decision 17 years ago. Maybe it's time to make another one." And I knew what she meant, and it was like she didn't have to put in words. And that day, I went back home and I asked for divorce. And Clean, I am not exaggerating. In a matter of second, the burst of life that entered my body, the energy that was filled me up was enormous. Um, and I got a second chance. I really got a second chance. So what I do with that? And it's in my hand what to do with the second chance. And I want to make it the best. And the best for me is how I see my life and my happiness. And the and I can tell you one thing I feel the most alive is in nature. That is where I belong. From a very young age, I just had a feeling I born to be in the wild. And every time I am purely nature, disconnected, just me, there is just I feel so full and so the joy is so pure and simple, that I wish I can just bottle it up and give people, and that's really in a sense like what uh, put me in started me in that path. The first 50 years of my life was a struggle, was absolutely a struggle. um, but I turned it around. I was listening after the divorce. I was starting to listen to a lot of Bernay Brown books and read, and I really needed someone that can base it, on research. Don't give me like, just a self-healing kind of like I need more proof of that.
Yeah.
And her books, her really studying and her teaching
Mhm.
gave me a solid understanding of who I am and why I behave sometimes the way I behave, why certain people trigger, certain emotions. And that was really the base for me. And then it was, so now I'm like more, I think I really are grateful that I got to her teaching before I start listening more to Pema Chadron and like Buddhist teaching. Today, that is the Buddhist philosophy is very much giving me a lot of my spiritual growth. Um, so that's how I'm here. I'm just giving myself a chance. I don't know. I took quite a risk. I just 2 months ago sold my apartment. I have all I own now is my minivan, and I live in my minivan.
Hey, what an adventure, Gila.
Yes.
So tell us about what is the name of the book, your first book that you publish. What is the name of it? And you do have another book coming out, or is it out already?
No, I just published it 2 months and a half ago.
That's
So
oh.
here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my first book.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see it?
I am, yeah.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Um, a self-healing and self-discovery journey through fear and friendship. Um, that is one thing that was I never expected. Actually, my first blog, I write that I am concerned about loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, the beautiful, beautiful people I met on the road. Some still so much close friend, and this is the biggest gift. I see breathtaking views.
Mhm.
absolutely breathtaking views, but
Mhm.
nothing can take from the people that I meet on the road and the connection.
Mhm.
Um, it's like when the open road give you the space for self growth and let nature heal you in the most profound way. Um, and the back is some comments from some of the women that was following me.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I can read you just an example. Um, Gila, your gift of sharing your journey has impacted myself and I'm sure countless other in profound way. I hope you write your book, as I cannot even imagine the continuous inspiration it will have on so many to come. Thank you for the beautiful, strong, powerful woman you are. I cannot wait to continue watching your journey. Love you, girl. That's like just one of them, a funny one. Is it bad that I don't want you to go home? I want to keep seeing the world through your travel, writing, and photos. So that's some of them. So that's like, that's my first book.
Mhm.
Um, and that's my second one.
It says, could you read it
It's
out?
yes.
Yeah.
So the second one, a Nomad Memory Chapter 2.
Okay.
Now on my cover, this is, my new cover, have a Nomad Memoir Chapter 1. I never knew I will have a Chapter 2. That was not. So, traveling with the wind to find my soul.
Wow.
Um,
It's tough.
and the back is actually a poem that I wrote,
Nice.
uh, more like a prayer that I wrote to myself.
Mm,
So yeah, so why traveling with the wind? So the I am, um, I did find who I am.
that's great. I
You
like.
know, it is, and I think what is like what a lot of people tell me about the book that it's interesting that not that you see the growth and the healing of me, you see the progress of my writing.
Mm,
It,
nice.
it's funny. A lot of time I feel like I speak about my writing is like someone else did it. I still cannot get it. I call it like a treasure box I find inside myself.
Mhm.
I don't get it. It's like where it's coming from. It's like when I write, it's like, whoa. And the other time I will write, I'll come up with a sentence like, oh, wow, this is really good.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah. So,
so, it's just, so why it's traveling with the wind? Because the first year I did very much. Everything was very scheduled. I have reservations for campground. Everything was very much my personality. Everything had to be.
mhm,
I decided that the second year, first of all, it was very exhausting,
mhm,
that I want to push myself even further. I want to push and grow even more. And the only way that I found for myself is challenging myself. So, no reservation, not knowing what I'm doing. I had like a very kind of a fluid path to follow. Um, but otherwise, I was just traveling with the wind. And a lot of time it felt like I'm actually traveling against the wind. It was very scary, not knowing where I will stay for the night. Uh, it took really almost like I will say like 6 to 8 months to get comfortable to a point like, hey, you've been doing it for a few months now. Every time you have that fear, but you find a way to find a place. So calm down and relax. I got to a point where it's like, oh, I feel like I'm in a game. Like 5, 6 in the evening is like
mhm,
finding Waldo. What I will find, and it's interesting. I can see how my brain switch for like kind of a survival mode. Okay, this place, what's the feature? Is it safe to park? What around me? It was very interesting how um, I, I I I switch from one part of me to another part to find a simple space to put my head for the night. Um,
mm. Wow, Gila, what an adventure.
yes.
So where do you say you do travel? Is it all around the globe or is it just in the US?
It's US and Canada.
Canada. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you tried South America?
No, no, no. It's really much where my car can drive.
Oh, okay, okay.
Uh, I would like maybe one day to try to explore other countries. New Zealand was always, my kind of like a dream of mine. But you know, and I thought, oh, can I do it? Like, you know, it scared me. And I'm like, you traveled to Canada. What's the difference? I mean, like, so um, I find that a lot of time I have a lot of fear before get, you know, as I think's place. But
Mhm.
when I go into it, I just melt and just let whatever happen. And I have by now enough confidence
Mhm.
that I can do things. And that's really what I gain from this journey is a confidence, love for myself that I never had. Um, so it's all of that, and finding how in some way I lost between my dad and my ex. I lost some trust in humankind, and to gain that back and see the beauty that we all have to give each other, um, it's been a gift, really.
So Gila, where can the listeners connect with you? Where can they find your book? Where can they find resources? Do you have any resources? And do you have a podcast?
No, I don't have a podcast.
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
guest. I was a guest on different podcasts.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
that you can find on my website. There will be like, I will put your podcast. I have like a tab podcast, and
Mhm.
there is like, you know, the connection to, you know, the links to go and listen.
Mhm.
Um, most of the things is like you can find on my website. It's gilacolorguru.com. Um, and I am a color designer. So it's like, and interestingly, I still do it remotely.
Oh,
Um,
mhm.
yes, I found that that I actually can do it probably with my eye closed. I really just need to be connected to my clients. I need by me asking them questions
Mhm.
and see where they want to be. I can very much can find their the colors. I learned that I actually have a gift of seeing colors and understanding the undertone um, very well, connecting the person and the personality to the colors. So, and I love that part. I don't do it as much as when was back home, and I understand people concerned to do it do it remotely. But the one that you know willing, it's been very successful. So yeah, so on my website you can find so the books. So what is it like? You know, it's a books is a collection of my posts.
Mhm.
So every time I do, and so through my website there is also a link to follow me,
Mhm.
and that will take you to my Substack account where I you know do most of my blogging, and
Mhm.
for each blog I you know put photos. So on my website, so you can read my books, but you can go to my website and there is a tab for each book for the collages of the pictures,
Mhm.
so you can have that connection. The second book, I was able, you know, I was more creative and I put some photos and things like that through it. So you know there is some photos, um, but you know, and there's a I even you know converted to ebooks, but the covers are really are the one that have the more creative way and you have more visual. So that's really
Are your books also on Amazon or no?
yes, they're only on Amazon really. I'm
Oh,
a self publisher. Uh,
okay.
it's interesting enough. It's just almost feel like all the skills that I learned through life brought me to be able to do those books because I could not afford someone else doing it um, and I don't have so much of a social media in a sense like you know you have the Substack that you can follow
Mhm.
um, through my website you can get all those links. um, I don't want to you know my purpose is to immerse myself in nature
Mhm.
and and if I'm going to go and spend time on social media,
Mhm.
it's just taking away. I mean, there is on YouTube. I put videos on my setup for the Mazda and the minivan. So on YouTube, you just need to put my name and you'll find the link. But I don't want to spend the time um, trying to promote myself in a way that will take away from what I'm trying to do. You know, I feel like If my story find you, there is a message there for you to hear. My biggest kind of a wish and message is to, and especially for women, um, is to get to understanding that happiness is in your hand. Life choices and and your life is your responsibility. I and life is a matter, simply matter of perspective. Now, I took, for example, my childhood, dad, and I took my dad, and I took his. He probably gave me the most wonderful lessons of my life. What what got me to be kind and compassionate person. He taught me how not to treat people. So in a sense, I took a very negative space in my life and turned it to a very positive. And this is something that we all can do. It's just a matter of like a simple perspective that we can look at situation.
So, Gila, what an amazing story. I will put your links in the podcast, the details, so that the listeners can actually check out your website and check out your books on Amazon. And do you have any last words for the listeners? Anything that you would like to share with them before we close the podcast?
Well, I can just give you like two story, kind of a funny stories, and and people can take from them, how they want. Um, I'll start with the first one. That's really I'll take them as chronicle. I'm like a month into my travel,
Mhm.
and I'm in Texas. I'm heading to Galveston, so it's a little bit of a city, and I'm a little bit nervous. And Google is showing me the way, and there's still that nervousness in me, as I driving, and I'm like, and suddenly it just click on me. I'm like, I cannot get lost. I don't know where I am, and that's funny. I was actually laughing because it was that understanding was like that since that moment, every band for me is excitement. I have no idea what it will be there. I'm embracing the uncertainty now in a funny and wonderful way. There is times that it's overwhelming in life, but otherwise I try very much to take the humor from a situation. I still trying to find a lot of humor in a lot of other things, but I still couldn't find that that will help me. But I'm not giving up. The second story of perspective is I'm in Badland. It's early September, very, very hot. And I'm by myself on a trail. And as I start, the grass, it's a very high grass in a very narrow path. And as I'm starting, there is big sign, be aware of rattlesnake, be aware of rattlesnake. I'm like, oh my God, I don't like rattlesnake. This is not my thing. But it is so eerie silence that I'm like, oh, but I can actually hear them before I can see them. I'm relaxing. And I go through that path, I pass it, and I continue. Two young men coming my way, they're probably in the mid 20. And I say hello, and they say hello, and the guy's like, oh my God. Oh no, I think it was me that was saying, like, isn't that silence is so beautiful? And the guy's like, I don't know. It's actually, I don't like it. I say, yeah, but you can hear the rattlesnake. He's like, you could see his smile. He's like, give me high five. He's like, I am more afraid of rattlesnake than the silence. He was, and that's the thing is like the moment you're willing to look at situation and life
Mhm.
in a perspective that can open you to relax into it, to soften the edge, you let the experience really be a wonderful things for you. So keep an open mind and an open heart, and I think then I hope that will it will help you bring love to yourself, and in that perspective, give love to others and
Oh,
peaceful.
wow, nicely said, Gila. Well, Gila, thank you for being on Beauty of Colors podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.